Vegan influencers are giving dangerous health advice that has already cost many people their lives. Yet they spread their bad health advice all over the internet without anybody stopping them. In this video, I will break down the 5 reasons why plant-based diets don't work and how they are slowly killing the people who are following them. There are about 30 micronutrients that the human body needs in order to survive. They are essential because the body can either not produce them at all or cannot produce them in sufficient enough amounts, which means they must come from your diet on a regular basis. In short, if you don't get enough of them, then you will die eventually. This is important because the vegan diet lacks 15 of those essential micronutrients that are only found in animal products. For example, vitamin A, vitamin B12 or heme iron. This is also the cause of all the malnourished children these days. Children with braces and underdeveloped faces have a lack of vitamin A in their diet. The sad thing about this is that it's the parents' fault and not the children's fault, because the parents fell for the lies that mainstream media has told them about what is healthy and what is not healthy for a child. Next, imagine somebody who just moved into a new house and is determined to keep his plumbing healthy. He reads somewhere that adding something to the pipes is good for them. So he starts pouring oils and other substances in every single day. At first, everything seems fine, and he even tells himself that the system works better now. But over days, weeks and months, the pipes slowly start to clog up. Still, he insists that he's doing the right thing. He's convinced that that little extra care will make his pipes perfectly clean. The reality though is that the more he adds into the pipes, the worse the problem gets. And this is exactly what happens to your body when you eat too much fiber in your diet. Yet these vegan influencers claim that this is actually good for you. Fiber is completely indigestible by the human body. Yet mainstream health advice tells you that fiber is good for digestion. Think about this. How can something that is indigestible for the human body be good for digestion? It doesn't make any sense. It's like helping a river flow by pouring gravel into it. Doesn't really fucking work. But there are more problems with fiber apart from it just clogging up your digestion. Fiber also stops you from receiving nutrients that you eat, because when fiber sits in your digestive tract, then it sticks to the inside of your intestines, which is exactly where nutrients get absorbed. So it essentially blocks the absorption of nutrients that you eat. But that's not the only way the vegan diet stops you from getting nutrients. Because the food that most people on a plant-based diet eat contain a lot of anti-nutrients. If you don't know what anti-nutrients are, then please pay close attention, because they are gonna change the way you see plant food forever. Picture this. When a deer is attacked by a wolf, it has 2 options. It can either fight back or run away. Those are the only 2 ways it can survive. But how can a plant survive? How can a plant survive thousands of years of evolution without running away or fighting back, since it can't do that? They survive by poisoning the animal that is trying to eat them with anti-nutrients like oxalates, phytates, phytoestrogens, and goitrogens. These poisons make the animal feel sick, and it tells the animal to not eat the plant ever again. This is the defensive strategy of the plant. And yes, there are animals like cows that have special enzymes that can break down these plant foods and their defense chemicals. But guess what? Humans don't have those enzymes, proving that we are not meant to eat plants in the first place. At the time when I ate the most plant foods, I never felt satisfied. I would eat meals that could feed a whole family, and my stomach was bloating, yet I still was hungry. Why? It was because the more plant foods I consumed, the more carbohydrates I consumed. And when you eat a lot of carbohydrates, you constantly spike your insulin. Insulin then blocks a hormone called leptin, which usually tells your body that you're satiated. But with high insulin, no such signal is ever sent, and and you're constantly hungry no matter how much you've eaten. This is another reason why plant-based diets don't work. They simply disrupt the normal hormonal balance of the human body. Humans need saturated animal fat in order to build hormones. Hormones like testosterone can only be produced when the body has enough cholesterol in its system. That's why a lot of vegans constantly complain about low energy and low sex drive. And that is because they're starving their body of saturated animal fats. We now talked about carbohydrates and fats, but what about protein? At least vegans get enough proteins, right? I mean, that's what they say on social media. But again, they're badly mistaken and given vegans a false sense of security that they are getting enough protein, because they're simply not. See, not all protein is created equal. To better understand this, we can look at the DIAAS score, which stands for Digestible Indispensable Amino Acid Score. That's pretty hard to say. Here you can see the bioavailability of certain plant-based foods compared to their animal counterparts. So when you consume 100 grams of lentil protein, then in reality you only get 65 grams of protein because the quality of the protein is simply not very high. Combine that with the anti-nutrients in lentils and you have a long-term disaster waiting to happen. If you rely on plant-based foods as your main source of protein, then you will run into problems very, very soon. So that brings us to the logical question: what kind of food can we eat that actually makes us healthy? Food that doesn't work against our body but supports it. Food that is completely digestible in less than 1 hour. Food that will never bloat you and that you will never ever feel in your stomach. Food that we've been eating for thousands of years but that is currently suppressed in the online health space. The food I'm talking about is raw animal foods like raw eggs or raw meat. The most nourishing foods on earth with all micronutrients. This is the exact food that cured my tinnitus, that got rid of my dermatitis, that stopped me from having low energy all the time, and that helped me to grow 1 whole inch at the age of 21 years old, even though my doctors told me that my growth plates are closed. Don't be afraid of raw animal foods. They are what made us human. Now that you learned why a plant-based diet sucks, do you know who would agree with me on this? Health influencer Paul Saladino. So check out this video to see why Paul Saladino has a couple of health problems himself.